Good morning. How's everybody doing today? Awesome. You guys ready to learn about some custom apps in the wild? Sweet. So, why am I here talking about this? My name is Alex King. I'm a solutions engineer at Slack, and it's my role to help our customers during the pre-sales process evaluate Slack and make sure that it's going to do what we say it's going to do and what we know it's going to do for their business, which is transform that business and help them serve their customers better at speed and at scale. Part of this evaluation process is talking about the Slack platform, and that's what really gets me excited about Slack, is thinking about the endless possibilities that our customers can build and do on the Slack platform to solve their business challenges and ultimately serve their customers better. So it's a little bit about why I'm here talking about custom apps today, and I want to kind of go over what we're going to talk about as we get into it. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is digital transformation, right? It's a word we've all heard at least at some point over the last 5 years, and let's think about what it is. But really, drop the transformation and think about the speed of business, or drop the digital, and think about the speed of business. So we've been transforming for hundreds of years. How are we transforming today, and how are we driving this digital experience for our customers? Beyond that, where I want to spend the bulk of the time today is thinking about customers who have developed apps on the Slack platform. And in particular, 3 customers who are doing some really cool things with their custom applications. And the hope is that you guys will have some great ideas after this to go off into the wild and start building your own apps. Sound good? Awesome. So, digital transformation. What is it? It's kind of buzzwordy. We hear it often. And anybody that has a vested interest in technology and business is probably thinking about this, maybe writing about it or talking about it on a TV program. So the way that Forbes define it is the realignment or investment in new technology or business processes to more effectively engage digital customers at every touch point in the customer experience lifecycle. Who else thinks that's a lot to say? At least I do. I'm the only one here holding my hand up. So that is a lot to think about, and it's really about focusing in on your customer and how you serve them better as business transforms. And we've been transforming for hundreds of years. For instance, just to kind of walk us through a quick timeline, your technology 120 years ago was a horse, and the speed of business depended on how fast you could ride that horse from point A to point B. So if you look at companies at the time, like Pony Express, they were able to ride their horse faster than anybody else, which is why they won. Now, as business transformed and we were able to communicate in real time with phones, the instance of letter writing and horse delivery of said letters went down. And now people are able to communicate back and forth in real time, which is dictating the speed of business. Advance 50 years and you get this, the computer. And the computer is this instrument that kind of lives in one particular place where you're able to now aggregate a bunch of data and use that in your communications in delivering your results in business drivers, to your customers. But it kind of lived in one particular place. Then you fast forward to 20 years ago, I heard one of the most life-changing sounds I'd heard at the time, which was dial-up internet connecting. And that allows us and represents the capability to network computers and to tap into the collective knowledge of the world to kind of satiate this need to transform and need to think about information at a broader scale. Today, we are integrating best-of-breed technologies to work together and work faster and at better scale with our customers in tools like Slack. So that's just a little bit about the business transformation process that's happened over the last 100 or so years. But let's think about what that means in actual tactical processes. So in this particular instance, I'm going to go through this in a world where I don't have Slack and then I do have Slack as a customer support agent. So in my example here, what's going to happen is that I'm a customer support agent at Slack, and I get a message in from a customer in Zendesk. And that customer is ready to upgrade from the free tier of Slack to the paid tier of Slack, which is really exciting for us, right? And me in particular. So I get to help my customer solve a problem, right? They may be experiencing some pain that I need to help them solve, and that's paramount to me. Then beyond that, I'm helping my organization grow by driving revenue. Now, I'm not the person that's actually going to service the customer. A salesperson will. So how do I get this message to that salesperson, and then how does that salesperson take action with the particular customer that I am serving? First and foremost, I need to reach out to the salesperson. So I might email them or call them up, or maybe I run into them in the kitchen or by the water cooler. Now, there's nothing saying that this salesperson is going to be available at the time that I'm reaching out to them. So that's allowing time to elapse in this linear process of me reaching out to the salesperson. When that salesperson eventually does respond, what's going to happen is they're going to need to gather some information to be able to serve this customer accurately. So they might log into a CRM system, let's say Salesforce, to get the context and history of what's going on with this particular customer. And then once they have that understanding, they have to take action to solve this customer's particular need. So they're going to be pulling from a number of disparate resources to ultimately get a response to this customer and help them upgrade their tier, or upgrade their product. So what they might be looking at are a knowledge base, a number of different decks from similar customers that they have served in the past. And ultimately, what this process is taking is time. Any good salesperson knows that time kills deals. So as opposed to having this process linear, let's look at what it might look like inside of Slack. So the first thing that I want to talk about with this custom app is that information is not being pushed into one channel, therefore making me the responsible party for that information. It's being pushed into a Slack channel where we have a number of different people who are able to see and take action against that information. So that immediately speeds up our time to serve this customer. So we have Zendesk pushing the signal into Slack saying, hey, Slack, we're ready to upgrade from the free tier to the paid tier. And then from there, we want to support our sales rep in gathering information very quickly. So in this custom app that we've built, what we have is Salesforce bringing information in to this particular message that's being sent so that that salesperson can get into Salesforce and get up to speed very quickly. Beyond that, what we've done is brought in our knowledge base to really focus that salesperson on the solution that they can deliver in turn to their customer. What this is doing is speeding up my capability to serve a customer and ultimately giving greater context of that customer so everybody in our business understands this customer lifecycle. This is digital transformation. And my water is tight. So what I want to focus on and where I want to spend most of the time today is on 3 customers who are building and delivering results on the Slack platform. Those customers are Sidley, Andela, and HubSpot. Now, each customer has really kind of looked at Slack as essential to the core of their business communication. And it's really transformed their organization. And beyond that, the flexibility of the Slack platform has allowed them to transform their organization. So, first place I want to start is with Sidley. Sidley is a 550-person creative agency that's located in New York, Los Angeles, Paris, Montreal, and Toronto. And today we're going to be focusing on their Montreal office. And Sidley's journey with their customers has kind of centered around Slack. They work with their customers, or they work with customers who are the likes of Samsung, the North Face, and Honda. And their journey with Slack started with some of the common challenges that we think about and that we hear from our customers in terms of communication. Communication's fragmented. They're using a number of different resources to work with one another, from email to telephone to WhatsApp to Skype for Business. And the challenge here was, as organizations grow and change, information is not transparent and then information leaves. So 3 years ago, they saw the opportunity to go wall to wall with Slack and centralize communication in one particular place. Now, beyond that, what they saw was the flexibility of a platform that allowed them to grow and change along with the way that their business was changing. In addition, they wanted to integrate to all of the other technologies that they have around their organization. And one of those technologies was an intranet. Now, most of us here have worked with an intranet, and we know that it can be essential to having information and storing information, but sometimes it's not the most used resource in an organization. So what they started doing with their intranet before they adopted Slack was using that intranet to book both client activity as well as the social and cultural activity going on in the organization. So Sidley, Montreal has a restaurant associated with its office. And this is a restaurant where they take their customers or their clients and really kind of spend a little time building the relationships with those clients. If you do or have worked in advertising, you know how important that client relationship is. And it's in those little moments that might not be a status meeting where you really kind of develop that one-on-one love with that client. So they were using the intranet to book tables at the restaurant. Then beyond that, that intranet was also used to book social and cultural activities, as I had mentioned. Now, what they would do is allow their employees to go on the intranet, book that activity, and that employee was immediately added to two things. First of which was a calendar invite, and second of which was an email for every activity or for every employee added to that activity. Some of the challenges that we're seeing with this were low intranet adoption. Again, intranet's a great place to store information, but not necessarily the most used resource. So that low adoption was a cause for concern for them because they had spent so much time and so many resources building this intranet. Then beyond that, they had unmanageable event communication, right? So you're added to this email, and then you're added to a calendar invite, and then each time a communication occurred and somebody was added, you get a reply all. So think about the reply all nightmare that kind of leaves them feeling a bit like this, right? So what did they do? Max Levasseur, the IT director that's responsible for Slack, saw an opportunity to build on the platform. And what he built were two things. First of which was a bot called Freshly. Now what Freshly does is take that restaurant and bring it into Slack. So what they're able to do is push through incoming webhooks a restaurant menu into Slack for what's going on at the bistro that day. Beyond that, you're able to take particular actions, right? So you can book a table. If tables are all booked up, you can get on a wait list. And then from there, information about your table or the wait list is pushed into a Slack channel so that you are able to understand what's going on with your table or with the wait list, right? That's ultimately helping their account people be more buttoned up with their clients because they have real-time understanding of what's happening in this particular restaurant that they're working with. And those buttoned up steps are really important, again, in kind of engaging the client and making sure that they trust you with their business. Beyond that, they eliminated the reply all nightmare by adding everybody to a Slack channel. So every time an event goes up and somebody registers for that event, a Slack channel is immediately spun up. And then as people continue to register for that event, what they're able to do is get into this channel, work together, coordinate maybe transportation to that event, or just generate excitement about everything that's going on, and then go to the event, and then once that event is over, 2 weeks later, that channel is immediately archived. So let's think about results here. Sidley is seeing greater engagement and attendance both at the restaurant as well as the particular events that they are pushing out for their employees to build the social and cultural life of that organization. Beyond that, if we're thinking about the investment in other technologies and how Slack can support your investment in other technologies, Sidley, was seeing a 1,300% increase in intranet usage, right? So Slack, being the glue that holds communication and applications as well as processes together, really drives results, not just for Slack and not just for the communication at your organization, but for the adjacent technologies that you might be using to ultimately serve your internal, or in Sidley's case, external customers. The second organization I want to highlight and talk about, which is really cool, is Andela. Andela was founded in 2014 with the mission of connecting the US and African tech sectors. Now, what Andela does is find the top technical talent in Africa and connect them to organizations globally so that they can help those organizations build better products. Off cuff, I've heard that it's harder to get into Andela than it is Harvard or Yale, to tell you about the type and caliber of talent that Andela attracts. Now, Andela is 600, let me make sure I get that right, because I think somebody from Andela is in the audience. 600, there we go. 600 plus people dispersed across 6 or more time zones at a time. And then beyond that, they have 50 to 100 single-channel guests representing their partner organizations working in Slack alongside of them. So if you think about the global scale of this organization, what they really need is a tool to support them in making sure that communication is fast, simple, and transparent. Now, outside of Slack, before we even get to Slack, Andela built an app called Pulse. And Pulse is really about capturing feedback about partner check-ins. So, for example, partners are people who hire Andela developers, and what they wanted to do was centralize information on those partner check-ins so that people could understand how the individual developers were performing, as well as how their partners are feeling about the engagement with Andela as a whole. They captured qualitative and quantitative data in this particular application. And what this allows them to do is segregate communication by channel for each partner they work with, and then make sure that they are driving visibility into the partner engagements and how those partner engagements are progressing. Now, they saw an opportunity to build in Slack. One of the challenges that they were looking to solve for was to ensure transparency across the entire organization on feedback that they're getting from their partners, even for those people who did not have access to the Pulse application. So what they did through incoming webhooks, the actual chat write scopes, and the app token is build an integration from Pulse to Slack so that they could push information down from Pulse every time a partner check-in is completed into Slack so that people across the organization, even if they did not have access to the Pulse application, had visibility into what was going on in partner check-ins. Beyond that, the designers there made a really important design decision, as they did not want their users having to digest information in different ways. So what they did is ensure that information was as consistent as possible between the two applications so that the burden of understanding that information was not placed on the end user, so that the end user could continue to understand what was going on with each partner check-in in accordance to the way that he or she wanted to see that. So if you can see the consistency across the actual applications, that is very, very important to them. And how they did that was that they built a custom data parser that allowed them to remove the human element of formatting in pushing that information into Slack so that they could deliver that information again to the end user. Let's think about results that Andela saw. So the core goal of this application was to drive greater transparency, and it did just that. It allowed people across the entire organization to start understanding faster, in real time, what was going on with each particular partner check-in. And then beyond that, the unexpected result was greater proactive customer service. So as people were engaging with partners and Andela employees began to see red flags come up that may indicate a particular issue, they were able to be proactive about resolving the issue instead of being reactive in terms of solving the problem, thus having an angry customer on the other side. That kind of proactivity really kind of brings two organizations together and endears the relationship to each organization so that they can continue to work together for years in the future. Now, the last organization I want to talk about likely needs no introduction, but just in case, HubSpot is an organization that creates sales and marketing software. They were founded in 2006 right outside of Boston in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and they have over 40,000 customers and partners in over 90 countries, including the likes of Shopify and Slack. And what HubSpot was trying to solve for were supporting their customer support agents in a better way as they were managing all of the channels that customer support requests came into. Twitter was a really key channel for them, and I'm sure you all can empathize that Twitter has global scale and can move at the speed of light. So it was really hard for this particular group of customer support agents to manage their Twitter accounts. Now, Ben Becker, the developer who built this app, realized that Slack is the place that centralizes information and communication for HubSpot, which is what led him to develop against Slack to help solve for this challenge. So what did they build? What they built was a custom integration between Slack and Twitter. And just to make sure that we're clear, this is a custom integration that is not the standard Slack to Twitter integration that allows Slack to pull down information from Twitter and bring it into a channel where their customer support agents live. And they ultimately are able to support their customers through responding to them. Now, as this information is being pulled down from Twitter, before it's pushed into the Slack channel, it's outfitted with a few things. First of which are 2 buttons that allow them to take action. There's a claim button to say and ensure that somebody is working on this particular tweet. Once somebody claims the tweet, that says to the rest of the group that, hey, we're working on this. You don't need to necessarily pay attention to it. There's also a delete button that allows them to discard the tweet. Let's say it's something that doesn't necessarily need a response or maybe a praise tweet. They can easily discard it to keep that channel clean. Now, in addition to that, what Ben did in the JSON payload is outfit each tweet with a timer that meets their SLA. So customer support agents, as we all know, have SLAs that they are going to need to be able to meet. So he's able to then push reminders into the channel if that customer support team is in danger of missing that SLA. And then once that tweet is claimed, he can drop, again, that SLA timer so that you're not pushing a whole bunch of erroneous reminders into that channel, speaking to the flexibility of the Slack platform. Of course, once somebody has responded, you're able to resolve the tweet and move things forward at a very rapid clip. Now, I'm not necessarily going to read the entire quote here, but the important thing is this. The fact is, they were able to automate hours of manual searching out of their day so that they can then resolve particular issues and then turn their attention to other needs that they could be proactive about. Think about that time, right? If you're able to automate 4 hours out of your day or 4 hours out of your team's collective day, what does that mean to you? What does that mean to your organization? And what does that mean to the speed and scale at which you can do business? Developing in Slack is going to support you in bringing together systems and processes that haven't been able to be brought together before. What it's really focused on is helping you serve your customers with speed and at scale, and then ultimately leading to your ability to surprise and delight those customers down the line because of the flexibility of the platform. So as we wrap up, I'll leave you with this. Be the hero today. Go out and build something awesome, and then come back and tell me about it so I can talk about you next year. In Slack, that's going to make the lives of the people at your organization simpler, more pleasant, and more productive. Thank you.